What is going on, my YouTube friends, my Patreon friends? How we all doing? What's up with my Montreal friends, man? Your boy's a French-Canadian by blood. My dad's half. We're from a little tiny island northeast of PEI, but it's a part of Quebec. And it just warms my heart, man, to find out that Marc Martel's from Montreal, living in Nashville, where rightfully he should be. Rightfully, man. There's something in the water there. It's just special. In rock, in country, and everything, man, in everything. But someone caught my attention. Since you're a sound guy, here's one I'll like. This is Mark talking about Produce Like a Pro, which is one of the programs that I am thinking about joining. My friend That'll Show Him also mentioned Chris Lipe, who I've done a bit of his courses, and I was thinking, I don't know, man, for 2023, I need something for me to dive into musically. Think about maybe going out and mixing a few bands, getting some footage and stuff, but I need something for me to do at home. So I'm really looking forward to this though. O'Donovan supplying me with the goods. This is, what is this? This is Marc Martel. Let Me Entertain You, a Queen cover, and I think they're gonna do a little talking, but I guess there's like a full band and the whole production's sweet and everything. So my friends, since today is a bit of a tech video, I've got a sponsor for the video, so let's jump to that one. This video is brought to you by Newer Professional Lighting and Photography Equipment. Newer sent me a 100-watt LED video light. It sits at 5600K. It's a Bowens mount continuous lighting system with a stand, softbox, and remote. And this thing has been my favorite upgrade to my studio over the last little while. And I'm just not just blowing smoke, man. I did a whole video on it. I'll tag it up here. It's shaved off a bunch of my editing time, as well as it's made my videos look nice and crispy and a lot more consistent, because with the light and the size of it and how good it works with my camera, it doesn't matter if it's daytime or nighttime or whatever, my outside lights don't seem to bother it. None of my other lights in my studio seem to bother it. So for my room, in my 10x12 room, this light has been fantastic. So Newer, thank you so much for the light. Check them out. I've got the link in the description box. My friends, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. You can check me out on Patreon as well. I do have a PayPal request spot if you'd rather just send like kind of a one and done thing, but come hang out on Patreon, man. It's fun. Have a blast. Come check it out. Let me pull this up. And let's see what we're up to. See what we got going on. Sweet, he's got a 7B still, cool.
Hey everybody, this is a performance video of Queen's Let Me Entertain You, and it's with a whole band. If you want to skip straight to the music, I don't blame you. There's your timestamp. Go knock yourself out. I'd probably do the same thing. See you later. This is a little different than what I normally do. I've teamed up with Warren Hewart of Produce Like a Pro, which is a fantastic YouTube channel aimed at anyone who wants to become a better mixing engineer, producer, that sort of technical audio side of things. And Warren and I did a pretty long interview that you can go watch on his channel right now, Produce Like a Pro. Over the last year, I have had a little extra time on my hands, and I picked up a couple hobbies, one being sharpening various objects, pocket knives, axes, that sort of thing. Also, I've gotten into customizing mechanical keyboards. Yup, that's a thing, and it's a pretty deep, geeky rabbit hole for anyone looking for...
So some people got pretty bored during lockdown, eh?
that kind of new hobby. But along the lines of things that you actually know about me, I love mixing my own music, and I always have, but I've never been super confident in that skill. So over the last year or two, I found myself spending a lot of time on Warren's channel, just gleaning as much information as I could for him. He's a talented teacher, but more so, he is an acclaimed producer. He's produced The Fray, Aerosmith, Ace Frehley, James Blunt, to name a few. And so I became a fan of his.
Sneak Aerosmith in there, bro, and you got my attention. You got my attention.
Warren's a Brit, so naturally he's a huge Queen fan, and he discovered that I was a fan of his, and then he was like, hey, I'm a fan of you, and so let's get together and do this thing. So we picked a song that I didn't really know, so it was a challenge for me not only to sing the song, but to actually learn it to a point where I felt confident performing it. And so Warren enlisted a bunch of his A-list musician friends, and we're in good company on this song, and the credits are really long, so I'm going to read them. On guitar, we've got Jamie Humphries, who tours with Brian May and Carrie Ellis. On bass, we got Tony Franklin from The Firm, and that's Jimmy Page's supergroup. Cool. On drums, we've got Pete Riley, who plays with Guthrie Govan of the Aristocrats. On keys, we've got Steve Majora, who is the current keyboard player for Toto, and also Warren lent his skills on background vocals, not to mention producing and engineering and mixing the song. And so this really is...
This is like cheating for the Super Bowl, bro. Come on, man. And then you got Mark leading this team too. Come on. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. Did you hear that resume?
Is a labor of love of a bunch of crazy Queen fans, and we had a lot of fun doing this. We hope you enjoy it. Go check out the interview on Produce Like a Pro's YouTube channel. I present to you Queen's Let Me Entertain You. Let's go. Come on. Hey, it's a setup.
Oh man, he's got this like energy about him, doesn't he? It's just like, oh, he's channeling right now. He's channeling right now. I don't like using the word swag, but he's got this like Marc Martel swag, which is like a blend of this like Freddie Mercury kind of energy. Like, come on, man. This is fantastic. The Brian May guitar too.
Hey, it's a setup. Yeah. Let me welcome you, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say hello. Are you ready for some entertainment? Are you ready for a show? Gonna rock, gonna roll ya, get you dancing in the house. Jazz you, razzle, bataille you with a little bit of style. So come
Wow,
on,
man, good for him. Like all that. I don't know what the pitch was. I don't know. I'm not even gonna bother singing it back. But like how he's in his like head voice there, or it's almost like a mix. Maybe it's a head voice, but it's got enough rasp to it that he can get away with it, right? It doesn't sound like here. I'll sing it back. I'll be bad about it.
Let me welcome you, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say hello. Are you ready for some entertainment? Are you ready for a show? Gonna rock, gonna roll ya.
Like he's got so much nice tone to that, and that's hours and hours of practice, man. You're putting your 10,000 hours in, man. Good for him.
Are you ready for some entertainment? Are you ready for a show? Gonna rock, gonna roll ya, get you dancing in the house. Jazz you.
Like, man, come on. That's great.
Show. Gonna rock, gonna roll ya, get you dancing in the house. Jazz you, razzle, bataille you with a little bit of style. So come on, let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you.
Oh, that was tight, man. That was great. So what do we got? Let's talk about this. So this is, yeah, it's like a Brian May signature, right? Because Brian May and his dad made the guitar, right? Right? I worked with a band called Mercury. They were a tribute, and he had one made from, I think, either like the same piece of wood or the same specs, or the dad signed off on it or something. I can't remember. I was 16 at the time. Guitar sounds fantastic. Isn't this like a rock riff if you ever heard it? Vocals are really cool. So Mark and the gentleman on the left are both singing in the SM7Bs. That's cool. And I was just watching an interview on the Produce Like a Pro channel, and they were talking about this microphone. I can't remember what it is, but it sounds cool. It sounds really cool. It sounds like a dynamic microphone. It sounds like a really fancy, I think it's like a custom, or it was like a limited run, but it sounds like a SM7B, right? With all the producing and everything. Bass is classic, man. Like when I think of bass, I don't know, when y'all probably think of bass, you probably think of a Fender Precision being like pick played with a pick. I think Buddy's playing with his fingers. He's killing this, man. Drummer looks so casual and just relaxed, sitting into that groove too. This is great. It's a whole big Shure setup. There's a lot of Shure microphones. I'll save that though.
Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. I've come here to sell you my body. I can show you some good merchandise. I'll pull you and I'll pill you. I'll krill and avail you. To thrill you, I'll use any device. We'll give you crazy performance.
Wow.
We'll give you grounds for divorce. We'll give you pistol resistance and a tour de force. Of course.
Oh man, there is layers to this. There's layers to this, and outside of the music too. Like Mark is so in the moment right now. If this is a take from the performance, which I think it is, he said it was a performance. Like he's got to be in the moment. He's not thinking about what he might look like later, what he might sound like later, what the camera might look like later. He is in performance mode, man. And Chris Lipe just said this. He said, "No good singer had a take, and wasn't in the moment and thought that was the best take. They were somewhere else. They were thinking about something else in the past, in the future. Like all the good takes happen in the moment. and the whole thing might not be perfect, it might not be perfectly sound. Marc's killing this, obviously, but in like just for the general example. But if the emotion's there, you're in the moment, man. You're like feeling what the performance needs. Like there's nothing that beats that. And Marc, man, he looks like he's playing with the camera. He's obviously got some like stage presence. You know, he's comfortable with this. But my goodness, he's transformed, hasn't he? Oh, this is cool. These vocals went nuts too.
We'll give you crazy performance. We'll give you grounds for divorce. We'll give you Kessler resistance and a tour de force. Of course!
Of course!
We found the right location, got a lot of pretty lights. The sound and amplification, listen! Yeah! If you need a fix, if you want to hide, Stickles will see to that. With Electra and EMI, we'll show you where it's at. So come on, let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you.
Oh man, whoever did the video editing too is killing it. But this, like, okay. Let's actually get into this. Let's talk about this a bit. Let's listen to this again.
Let me entertain you.
So they have, I believe, like the respective voices panned to the sides, but it's not 100% pan. That would sound weird. It would feel like they're sitting down here. So they're just separated a little bit to give Marc the channel right down the middle, right? And then like this low note with the piano and the bop bop on the kick drum is just giving them such a nice platform to perform off of, right? And Marc's been very clever, man. He's been doing a really good job of walking the line of like the theatrics, right? Where it's almost, he's like speaking. Like I'm imagining like someone at like a fair, like a circus, like running on a stage and like speaking and being like high energy, hyping up this crowd, right? But then he's also got the "tain you," like it's so melodic and it's so precise and it's so clean with like the harmonies or the unison. It doesn't matter. Like, oh boys and girls, my bad. Wow, this is wild. This is so cool. This is so cool.
Let me entertain you. Let me entertain you.
So I don't know if it's the guitar itself that has that tone, or if it's like a half-cocked wah or what, but it sounds like it's got like a 1K peak. So for you guitar players out there, if you go and you take like an EQ or an equalizer and you take 1K and just boost it and kind of like duck other things around it or point up to the 1K, you'll kind of get that tone. And it could be the pickups. If they were like custom built pickups, it just might have that sound to it. Like I'm imagining like, you know, More Than a Feeling from Boston, or any of the like classics from Boston, like that same kind of a feel, right? There was lots in the 70s that had that, Queen included, obviously, right? But that's just, that's what that reminds me of, is like that 1K peak, right? Where you're pushing that, and it gives you kind of like this like talk boxy or wah kind of sound, but it doesn't have the continuous wah. It's just like more gain almost, but it sounded great. It sounded great. Great solo. Great lead.
Just take a look at the menu. We give you rock a la carte. We'll breakfast at Tiffany's. We'll sing to you in Japanese. We're only here to entertain you. If you wanna see some action, you get nothing but the best.
That was hard as hell. So it was you, and it has such a pronounced vibrato. And like, come on, man, Freddie had that going on. And the guitar player actually hammer on, pull off, whatever that was, instead of just like trem. Like, so it's showing that it's like a whole step that like between that movement. Like that was wild, and it was cool because it almost sounded like a pinch harmonic, or it could be like that 1K boost again. It was just the two interacting with each other was great. Right there.
Japanese, we're only here to entertain you. If you wanna see some action, you get nothing but the best. Yesterday.
Like, if you wanna see some action, da 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 da. Like, it's just so.
If you wanna see some action, you get nothing but the best. Yesterday, our attraction, we got the pleasure chest. Chicago down to New Orleans, we got you on the line. If you dig the New York scene, we'll have a son of a bitch of a time. So come on, let me entertain, let me entertain, let me entertain you tonight. Hey, where's my backstage pass?
Good, straight.
is. Back there on the wall. Was there the whole time. Rock.
Super cool, man. Super cool. Like, top to bottom, the production, man, the recording, the performance was tough. Tough, man. And, like, what a song to just learn and put together with, like, some, you know, of the most solidified YouTubers when it comes to production and, like, performers. Like, come on, man. Was it the bass player for Toto? Like, all right. What do we got? So the drum kit was full of these little, like, clip-on things. Let's see if I can find the drum kit here. I went back too far. So these are little Beta 98s. They're just little tiny tom mics, but they're kind of neat because the capsule is so little. Like, you could pull it, you know, half an inch away from the mic or from the source, and you're giving it a lot of room at that point because it's just such a little tiny mic, right? And it's out of the way. They just go on these little tiny stands that just clip on either hardware or like the rim of the drum. But then the drummer's not really gonna hit it. You can bend them and fold them out of the way. They have these like long kind of goofy cables on them and go into a preamp and then plug in. It's a whole kind of thing, but they sound great. They're real punchy. They have a SM57 on the snare drum. That's pretty standard. I can't see what's on the overheads, and I never really saw what was on the overheads, but the drum kit, it sounded like a live performance. It sounded like a close miking performance, and it sounded fantastic. I think they did a really good job of this, man. Marc's voice sounded great. That SM7B, I talked about that in the last video lots. I think it does a really good job because you don't want to get further away from it. Like a lot of mics, a lot of condenser mics and fancier studio mics, you want to stay about a foot away from, but then you can't have the performance going around you because there's so much reverberation and refraction in the rooms. I'm gonna stop talking soon. That it's gonna pick up in that microphone and that space between you and the mic, right? So having a nice dynamic, like a cardioid microphone that you can like really lay into, like a 7B, it sounds nice and warm. It's got a big like diaphragm on it, so it's gonna capture a lot of the warmth of his voice. I think these are all smart decisions, my friends, and this is what we get. It's just beautiful. It's just stunning. But my friends, I've stretched this out long enough. We'll see y'all again soon.